Hi everybody, welcome to Quarantine Kitchen. I'm your host Clinton and today's episode 14, my lucky number. So to celebrate that, we're going to go ahead and make one of my other favorite recipes, blueberry pie from scratch. We're going to be making the dough and the filling. And some of you guys might feel a little intimidated by that, but trust me, it's so easy and that's why it's such a great recipe, okay? So let me show you how little ingredients you're going to need today. You just need flour, salt, cornstarch, tapioca is a good substitute for that if you don't have that, sugar, a lemon, butter, and a lot of fresh blueberries, which because they are in season and a lot in the grocery store, we're going to go ahead and do that today. So we're going to do this in two stages. The first part is going to be the dough, and the second part is going to be the filling. So obviously we're going to go ahead and start with the dough first. So you're going to need flour. Grab yourself a large bowl. Take 2.5 cups all-purpose flour. Put it in there. Followed by 1/4 teaspoon salt. One quarter. There we go. Then go ahead and whisk that all together. Now, what you're going to take is 3/4 cup cold butter. And what we've done in advance is we've gone ahead and chopped it up into smaller pieces because we're going to actually work this into the flour, okay? And let's go ahead and do it in stages. So I like to do first one half and then I'll do the second half later. And don't worry about getting your hands dirty in this one. Don't be shy because it's important that you get in there. Go ahead and start working the flour into those pieces of butter. That's why the smaller you chop them up, the easier this will be. And you're going to see that it's starting to get a little grainy. The butter is breaking up in there. And then once you feel like you've broken up the first round of butter, you can go ahead and add the second batch of it.
Finish breaking it up.
And you're going to start to notice that the consistency of your dough is actually changing. You're getting like a kind of a granular flour now because that butter is turning into little pieces. And that's exactly what we're looking for. See how granular our flour is? That's what you want it to look like. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add 6 tablespoons very, very cold water. It's important it's cold because you want to keep the butter from melting. If it melts, then this is going to be much harder to work with. And what the water is going to do is it's going to go ahead and turn our dough, or our flour, into a dough. You want to go ahead and work the water in there. You may want to use a wooden spoon for this part. I still prefer to use my hands. Now you might have noticed that it's still kind of granular, and that's okay. You're going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of water at a time until you get the consistency we're looking for. You see how we're getting a little bit better consistency? We don't want to overwork it too much, so I'm going to take a little bit of cold water and add a little bit at a time. You can always add more if you need it. If you guys do add too much water, it's alright. Just grab your flour and add a little bit of flour until you get that perfect medium. Add a little bit more. To be honest, on this recipe, I always add more water than what they call for. Part of that is because we're doing a butter crust, so the consistency is going to be a little different than if we had shortening in it. You guys see how quickly the consistency of our dough changed there? I'm just going to work it a little bit to get all of it mashed together so that we have a nice dough to work with. And then you kind of want it to be like one big solid ball. There we go. That's what you're looking for, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and roll it out next. Put it there. Sink. All right. So next thing we're going to do, go ahead and take your flour and use a large working surface. Flour it out. There we go. I like to flour the outside of my dough. I like to work it just a little bit so I get a nice consistency there. Okay, there we go. Flour your rolling pin. And if you don't have a rolling pin, you can use an old wine bottle. Doesn't have to be an official rolling pin, so just use whatever you can. We want to roll it out into a circle, so don't be afraid to work it. You're going to need to add a little bit more flour as you go through. Keep it from getting stuck, because the dough eats it up. And you guys are going to want to go ahead and roll this out basically as thin as you can make it. Because this is actually a double crust recipe. So we're going to be putting dough on the bottom, but we're actually going to be covering the fruit in dough as well. So we're not going to immediately use all of the dough in our recipe. All right. Now, that is definitely going to be stuck to the bottom a little bit. And that's okay. I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and take it off safely, or my little trick anyways. Okay, there we go. So now that our dough is rolled out, the first batch, I'm lucky enough to have a pie pan that I have from the United States. If you guys don't have a pie pan, that's okay. I've used a tart pan in the past, and they work just fine. It's just a little bit, you just got to work the dough a little bit to make sure it sticks to it, but otherwise you're fine. All right, so let's go ahead and we want to pick up our dough. So the way I do this is I like to use a spatula, actually, to get underneath there. And then I roll it. Now, I know some of you guys might have a different way of doing that, and that's fine. We all have our ways. This is my self-taught way. Be delicate with it, don't press it down, because you're going to unravel it in a minute. Okay. Once you have it like that, move it to the side. We're going to go and take our pie pan. It's a 9-inch crust pie pan. Make sure you grease it. We've greased it already. Take your dough, place it right there in the middle, and open it up. It's okay, we have a couple little tears. You can push it back together easily, no problem. Just like that. Take your dough very delicately, make sure it goes all the way down the sides to cover the entire base of your pie pan. Take a knife, and you can go ahead and start sliding around the perimeter of your dough. Okay. There you have the bottom of your pie pan covered. Take the rest of your dough. Go ahead and mash it all back up together. Because we're going to use it later. And at this point, I recommend you can throw it inside a little bowl and throw it into the fridge because we want to keep it cool, because remember, this is mostly butter. Okay, so let's get it in the fridge. So we have our crust, our bottom of our crust prepared. We're going to go ahead and start the pie filling. All right, it's super easy. Just need fresh blueberries. So this is 5 cups blueberries. Put them all in a big bowl. Followed by 3/4 cup sugar. Just pour it right on top. And then 4 tablespoons cornstarch or tapioca. I'm using cornstarch today. One tablespoon fresh lemon juice, which I have pre-squeezed. Followed by lemon zest of 1 lemon. Give it a nice tangy flavor. And then finally 1/4 teaspoon salt. Okay, that's it. Go ahead and take a wooden spoon. Now you want to do this very carefully because you don't want to crush the blueberries. You're going to turn them like this until it looks less like a snow-covered blueberries and more of just a sappy mixture. Be very delicate. If you crush 1 or 2 of the blueberries, not the end of the world, but just do your best. And what you're going to do once we have this all mixed up, you're going to actually let them sit for 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and leave it like that. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and start our oven, okay? That's heat with a fan on, so heat on top and bottom with a fan. It's 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius. There we go. And while that heats up, we're going to let our blueberries sit for 15 minutes and we'll be right back. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. You see that we have a little bit of liquid in there, which is awesome. That's what we're looking for. Go ahead and take your pie pan that we've already put the first layer of crust in, and we're going to go ahead and put the blueberries directly in there. Right now that we've evened out there, you're going to take 2 tablespoons unsalted butter. So I've cut them up and you're going to just spread it over the top into pieces. You can even cut them up smaller if you want. Just evenly spread it out there. All right, now that the filler is done, we're going to go ahead and start doing the top of the pie. So go ahead and put the pie to the side for the moment. Grab your dough from earlier that we put in the fridge. Flour your work surface again. And you're going to go ahead and roll it out like we did before. Now this is the end of your dough, so it's important that you actually do make this one as evenly spread out as possible into a circle, because it needs to cover the whole pie. Okay, I think we're just about there. Go ahead and take your spatula again. The dough is even easier to work with than last time because it's been chilled a little bit. Bring your pie back, put it right in the middle, and open it up. Perfect. There we go. Go ahead and take that knife again.
We're going to run across top of the pan.
We still have some leftover dough, so that's good. I'm going to show you guys what we can do with that afterwards if you want to not waste it. Now is the point you're going to take a fork and you're going to press down the sides like this. Right on top of, you need to put a little bit of pressure in there because that's attaching it to the dough on the base. And because there's going to be a lot of heat coming out of the pie, we need to put a little holes in the top. I'm going to actually use a sharper knife so I don't kill it. And I like to do 4 slits. So some like to do just an X. I like to do something like this because I just think it looks prettier. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put it in the oven now for 55 to 65 minutes. There we go. And it'll be beautiful in about an hour. Okay, so you might have noticed that you have a little bit of dough left over after making your pie. I want to show you guys a little something that's been passed down from my great-grandmother that we just do in our family. That when I was a kid, I really loved, because my mom would do this when she made pie. You take the leftover dough, we're going to go ahead and roll it out like we have done for the other stuff. Mash it all together. This is purely for taste, not for beauty. If you guys have kids, try this with them next time you make a pie, because then they can even participate in this part. Go ahead and roll it out. Best you can. It does not need to be pretty. Now for this, I do recommend you roll it out as thin as you can, because that'll make it a little bit tastier. Go ahead and take the dough, put it onto a sheet of baking paper like this, and what we're going to do is we're going to take, I've taken a little bit of butter and I've melted it here on the side. I have a little bowl of white sugar. Going to add a little bit of cinnamon. Just mix it together. Perfect. Take your butter. Smear it all over it. There is no cut in calories on this, that's for sure. Then take your cinnamon and sugar mix that we've made and sprinkle it over the whole thing. And then we're gonna go ahead and just place it in the oven. You don't need to cook it very long, like 10 minutes or so. Just keep an eye on it. Put it right below the pie. And what's great about doing this is that it's really easy for you to do. It's easy if you have kids, they can participate and help cook. And also, it's going to be done before the pie. So while you're sitting here and you're smelling all that delicious aroma from the pie, you can go and have a little taste just before. And your kids will love it. So this is our little crust that we've pulled out of the oven. The cinnamon and sugar. Just go ahead and cut it up. It's basically just sugar and cinnamon bread with butter. Good childhood memories. Alright, so it's been in there for 55 minutes. We're going to go ahead and pull it out. Now, while we were baking it, if you want to just look, some of the juices actually poured out. And so I actually had a pan underneath with some baking paper to catch it. And that's normal, it's okay. That's just a lot of juices for the pan, and that's why. So we're going to go ahead and pull it out. Be careful, because those juices may once again spill. There we go. And now we're going to go ahead and let it cool completely, because we want those juices to, that's boiling up, you'll see here, we want them to consolidate so that they're easy to cut the pie later. So we are actually taking this to a friend's house. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it in aluminum once it's cooled down, and we're going to bring it over there, and we'll do our taste test at their place. Okay, we're just at the metro, and I wrapped the pie, and we're heading on over to our friend's place. So let's go. So we've just cut the blueberry pie. Working on it. And Simon's going to be the one tasting it today. First time on Quarantine Kitchen.
Hello. Voila, super. Very good, Clinton. Well done. I'm proud of you.